Alright, today we're going to be going over benchmark FL 3.1 simple interest. Our target for today is I can use the simple interest formula to solve real world problems. So by the end of the video, after you guys practice, you should be able to solve any problem I put up on simple interest. First, we're going to go over the formula, which is this one. A equals P parentheses 1 plus RT close parentheses. Our A, so normally when we talk about simple interest, we're talking about money. And our A stands for the amount of money we're going to have. Our P is our principal. And that's normally how much money you start with, or what you're putting into the account. 1 is part of your equation. R is your rate. Typically, you'll see it as a percentage, and you have to be able to convert it to a decimal. And T is our time. And when we talk about time, we're always talking about time in years. Okay, so let's look at the first one. It says Tanya opened a savings account with $2,100. The bank offers an annual interest rate of 6%. Find the amount in Tanya's account after each number of years. So first, we are going to write an equation to represent the amount of money in Tanya's account after T years. So let's start with what we know. So we don't know the amount, so that's going to stay as A. That's going to be your final amount after the time has passed. Let's start with our principal. Our principal is how much money we start with. Well, Tanya started with $2,100 in her bank account. 1 plus is part of your equation. R is your rate. So they're going to pay her an annual interest rate of 6%. Now 6% needs to be converted to a decimal. There's two ways you can do this. First way is you can put the 6 over 100, because 100 is the highest percent, and plug that into your calculator. 6 divided by 100 will get you 0.06. Or you can turn 6 into a decimal, and you would move it over 2 spaces. 1, 2, meaning your dot would go here, and a 0 goes in its place. So either way works. Since you have calculators, it's probably easiest to just put it over 100 and plug it into the calculator. So our rate is going to be 6%. So I'm going to plug that in as 0.06. Then we have our time. Right now, we don't know our time, so we're just going to leave it as T. And I like to put parentheses because anytime I plug something in, I put it in parentheses, and the other set of parentheses are going to close that first set, and you're all set. So now it says, how much will Tanya have after 3 years? So I'm going to keep my equation the same. The only difference is now I know how much time has passed. So I'm going to replace T with 3. And I'm going to plug it into my calculator. You plug this in exactly as you see it. Remember, 0.6 and 3 are multiplying. So you would just set up the parentheses. You don't have to put the multiplication or anything. Once you plug that in exactly as you see it, whatever your answer is, that's going to be your A. So when you plug that into your calculator, you should get 2,478. So after 3 years, Tanya is going to have $2,478 in her account. So how much interest did she make? Well, Tanya started with 2,100 and she ended with 2,478. So how much money did she make? So in interest, Tanya made $378 over the course of 3 years. All right, go ahead and try part 2. How much does Tanya make in 8 years? You can pause it now, try it out, and then you'll check your answer. All right, let's look at how much Tanya made in 8 years. So we're going to be using the same formula because we're still talking about Tanya. So we know in 3 years, she made the 2,478. But let's look at 8 years. So our equation is going to stay the same. A equals 2100 times 1 plus our rate stays the same, 0.06. But now instead of 3, I'm going to be plugging in an 8. And again, type that whole thing into your calculator. Remember, what you type into the calculator is everything after the equal sign, because you can't put any letters into your calculator. So from here on out, type it into your calculator and see what you get. So after 3 years, how much did Tanya make? Well, Tanya made 3,108. Again, you follow PEMDAS. If you don't have a calculator, you can do it separately. 0.06 times 8. Whatever answer you get, then you add the 1, and then you multiply whatever you have there by 2100. And that'll get you 3,108. All right. Go ahead and try number 2. I'm going to try number 3 with you, part B, and then you'll be on your own. All right, let's look at number 3. Charlene deposited 3,400 into a savings account that has an annual interest rate of 0.2%. Find the amount in the savings account after each number of years. So I'm just going to do 10 months with you so you know what that looks like. So again, we follow our formula. A equals our principal. How much money did she start with? Well, Charlene started with $3,400. Parentheses 1 plus, always part of our equation. Now, remember our time is measured in years, but this is not years. 10 months doesn't tell us how many years that is. So, how many months are in a year? 12. So if I do 10 divided by 12, I get how much of that year it is. So for example, a year has 12 months. Well, 12 divided by 12 is 1. That's why it's 1 year. Now, if I have 10 months, I don't have a full year. I have part of a year. So if I want to find out what part of the year is, I would do 10 divided by 12. So that's for our time. Now we need to look at our rate. Our rate is 0.02. So again, fastest way to turn that into a decimal, it looks like it's in a decimal. It is a decimal, but it's a decimal percent. And you want it with no percent. So we do the same exact thing. We take 0.2 and we divide it by 100. Plug that into your calculator. You would get 0.002. So that's going to be the correct rate. So I'm going to plug that in. So we've got 1 plus our rate is 0.002 multiplied by our 10 over 12, which is our time. And again, plug that into your calculator and you'll get your answer. All right, you've got the rest of the period to work on the rest of the questions. Remember to show all your work, and I will be collecting these on Friday.